real cases before a real judge.
Plaintiff Kevin Meggitt has been friends with the defendant for 20 years, and it saddens him that they have to be in court today. Kevin claims he had money set aside to help his 14-year-old daughter, but instead he loaned it to the defendant, and she has yet to repay him. Defendant Maria Velez says Kevin has always been a great friend, and they've been through a lot together. Maria admits that Kevin gave her some money, but insists he never said she had to repay him.
Tell me what happened.
First of all, Your Honor, it saddens me to even have to be here today. This is my best friend. We've been friends for close to 20 years. We've done everything together. How I've come to know Miss Velez is that rumors in the neighborhood was like, she's a bad person, stay away from her, she does voodoo, and just out of coincidence, one day I just said, hey, how you doing? And that's probably the best thing I've ever done, because she's a great person, a loving person, and someone over the years that I've come to learn to love and respect. So it really saddens me to have to be here today before you with this matter.
Let me hear some background from you.
Basically, as Kevin said, he's a great friend. He's been my friend for many, many years. We've been through a lot. We used to hang out a lot. One time we hung out, like for instance, in a bar, had a good time after work. He meets up with these two men. They end up going to the bathroom, and hours are going by, and I'm nervous, like, oh my God, what's happening to him? And he comes out with these two men like 2 hours later, and they're crying, and I'm like, what happened? The men was like, said he was adopted by a Jewish Puerto Rican family, and they lived in Old Maya West, and I'm like, there's no such thing. So he's just like very outgoing, and people believe all his stories that he says. I mean, he's also—
If he told me that, I wouldn't. Is that true?
I did say that.
All right. Tell me about this loan.
Well, Your Honor, the first part of November, she ran into some hard times, and she said, and it's not really unusual, it's not uncommon. She said, buddy, can you please lend me some money? She had ran into some hard times, and I said, well, what do you need? She says, I need $500. And I've, in the past, borrowed money from her. I've always paid back in a timely manner. And she's, in the past, borrowed money from me in a timely manner. In fact, I'd rather go to her and ask for money than go to like my mom or my dad, because there's a story attached to it. Now you know you need to budget your money better. Like, it's just—
You gotta get a lecture.
Yes, and I'm like, just keep it, like I wouldn't even—
That's a good deterrence, that's what I do. That's what I do.
So I'd rather go to her.
What do you need it for? What'd you do with your money? Didn't you work all week? Didn't you work this month? What'd you spend your money on?
Exactly.
Why are you coming to me?
And that sounds so familiar what you're saying. So
Go ahead.
I stay away from mom and dad when it comes to, can I have a personal loan?
That's it to my friends too. My kids and my friends. Go ahead.
So Maria said, buddy, I'm behind in a bill. Can you please help me out? What do you need? $500. I said, well, okay. I need this money back by at least in 2 weeks. I gave it to her in the early part of November. I don't know what she used it for, but I know what I needed it for. What I needed it for was my daughter, who is here as my witness, she's an outstanding spoken word artist, a philanthropist, the youngest recipient of Dwayne Wade's Keeper of the Village Award.
Really?
And she had a show coming up at the United Nations.
When did she receive that? Come on up, stand up, state your name.
My name is Janice.
Glad to hear all these
Meggitt.
accomplishments.
Thank you. I received this award—
A couple of years ago?
Yes.
Here in Chicago?
Yes. And
as part of a weekend that he had?
Yes.
I participated in that.
I know, I remember seeing you at
I was part of that weekend?
Yes, Chicago Got Talent. You was one of the judges.
I was one of the judges, all right.
Yeah.
Dwayne Wade still owes me a couple of basketball tickets for that. I didn't do it for that, but I just thought he just owed me a couple of tickets. He's a good guy. I'm so glad to hear that. What are you going to do in front of the United Nations?
I was going to do a spoken word piece.
Wow, tremendous. Great. All right, I bet you won't have to borrow any money. All right, thank you. You can have a seat. Proud to hear that.
Plaintiff Kevin Meggitt had money set aside for his 14-year-old daughter, who is a philanthropist. And instead, he loaned it to the defendant, but he has yet to be repaid.
With regard to the loan, though, what are you telling me about
The
that?
loan-
Did you give her the third degree?
Other than I really need it back by a certain time.
So you didn't do her like I do my friends and
No, I didn't
family.
do that.
I don't do that to all my friends and family, particularly senior citizens. I had one of my favorite relatives, my mother's best friend. She lives in a not so wealthy community and has some financial challenges from time to time. And you know the situation. Here, you don't have to tell me a thing. She tried to tell, where's for that? No, I don't want to hear it. Take it. So I do that to senior citizens and others, but grown women and grown men, you gotta give me a good story. A good one. Children, for the most part, because they're pure and they're vulnerable. Little children are vulnerable and pure at heart, and then senior citizens, many of them are vulnerable, many of them are pure at heart, so they don't have to give me a story. But these other slicksters, my kids, my friends, my family, they have to give me a story.
Me?
You, that's right, you gotta give me a story. Go ahead.
So I loaned her the money, but the money was actually earmarked for, my daughter has a campaign that she started called Rethink Poverty. And what she does is she looks at poverty on a whole, and she looks at different areas of poverty, and she'll actually not only raise funds, but awareness for a certain cause. So in the past, she's raised money to purchase bed nets in sub-Saharan Africa. She did a food and clothing drive in my borough of the Bronx at a establishment organization called POTS, and she's raised like maybe $3,000 worth of brand new dresses.
Your daughter?
My daughter, yes.
Please don't tell me you took the money and loaned it to her.
That's.
Huh?
I lent her the $500 that. It was when she was to do the United Nations event. I was supposed to buy CDs.
For that, something that was to benefit your daughter's cause, you loaned her the money.
That's
You
correct.
do practice voodoo. Something. You practice something. You didn't brainwash this man, the good works that his daughter is doing, and you went and accepted that money, and now the daughter has to, her cause is suffering the consequences, and not really. I'm gonna donate something to it, all right? You make sure you do it all right. Mm-hmm. You should be rewarded. You should be rewarded for your work, and so should your causes, because that's when pure at heart. See, she doesn't have to ask. She gets it voluntarily. Now, you tell me about the spell that you put on him.
The voodoo spell.
The spell that you put on this man to have him loan you the money that's supposed to go to his daughter's great causes.
I have a total different story.
Go ahead.
Basically, I was having a hard time, and Kevin did give me the money. However, it was nothing mentioned of a loan, nor anything mentioned about giving Nene anything, you know, that the money was, it makes me look bad. I mean, I wouldn't do something like that where it would take away from her. I don't recall him asking me or giving me a set time of when to give money back, because he gave it to me. We've done that back and forth to each other.
How long ago was it?
This happened in November, and we've spoken all the way up until March.
How much have you given him on it?
I never given him anything. He gave me the money for my bills.
Loaned it to you, right?
No, he gave me the money. He didn't say anything. This is a loan. This is why I'm finding this difficult. And like I said, if I would have known something like
that was in November. When did he first ask you for some money back?
He didn't.
This is the first time
This is the first time. Head has not asked me.
Did you know why you were coming to court before you got on a plane and traveled to Chicago?
I found out then, yes. And I tried to contact him, and he never called
Why
me
do you
back.
think he's doing this now?
I don't know, and it disturbs me too. This has been my friend. I mean, Head and me, we've been friends for years.
Sir, she obtained it in November?
Yes.
When is the next time you ask her about it?
I believe March.
What did she say?
I don't know. She said something about, what's that, income tax. That's when I got on. That's when I got on the phone. And
that's right. That's when you're supposed to call the court.
Because that's when you've always said stay away. Anyone that ever says they're going to pay you on income tax, they're never ever going to pay you. So.
Plaintiff Kevin Meggitt had money set aside for his 14-year-old daughter, who is a philanthropist, and instead he loaned it to the defendant, but he has yet to be repaid.
Ma'am, did you tell him in March you'd pay him?
No.
Did you discuss anything regarding this money in March?
No, Your Honor. We spoke in March. It had nothing to do with that. Didn't mention anything in March to me. And that was pretty much the last time he stopped speaking to me in March.
Why did he stop to your knowledge?
He didn't. I didn't know. That's what I'm saying. This is funny hearing it now. But
he never spoke to you after March?
After March, we haven't
spoken.
spoken.
And you don't know why?
No.
And he's a very good close friend?
He's good, and he doesn't answer his phone.
All right, now I don't believe you. I think your response is unreasonable. If a very, very close friend stopped speaking to you, suddenly you would find out, you would reach out, and somehow, no, I know exactly.
I've tried calling him. I explained to her, I've tried calling him. He never answered. I speak to his daughter, and she gives me updates how she's doing. So I talked to his daughter to see how she's doing. He doesn't answer his phone. So I couldn't get an explanation.
Did you ask the daughter?
No, I didn't. That's something that wasn't between us. I wouldn't bring that to her.
Did you want to speak about what you know of this, if anything? The money being owed or having...
I don't really have much to say. I was there when he did give her the money, and he did ask for it back in a timely manner.
Good enough.
I can't...
That's all I need to know, is that you have some insight on this, and you have direct insight because you say you were right there and you heard him say it was a loan. And certainly you're the most credible person in the room.
Thank you.
So I'll grant your judgment. When there's no direct evidence, the judge must determine who he believes based on the credibility of the testimony. Someone has to convince me, and you've convinced me, primarily by having a very credible witness with you, you being very clear about your testimony, her being not quite reasonable in terms of a friend, a very, very close, good friend, just suddenly stops talking to you, and you don't do everything you can to get back with him. You would have said, "Where's your dad staying right now?" if he's not answering his phone. Go by there and leave a note. "Hey, best good friend in the world, I haven't heard from you. I want to make sure everything is all right. Want to make sure I haven't done something to offend you. What's the deal?" If Doyle does that, that's exactly what I'm going to do. And I'd go by there. And I say, "Hey, Doyle, you stopped calling, you stopped whatever, I haven't talked to you, you my man, what's up?" Judgment for the plaintiff.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you. I'm glad I got the money back. I'm sorry we had to come here for me to get it. I still love you, buddy. I still love you, Head. I mean, I'm just sorry I had to bring you all the way here.
I love you too, but I still think you lied. So, maybe we could see where we could work out.
I still love my Auntie Rhea. No matter what, we still kept in contact, and I still love her.
And I love her very much.